out. Behind the plate, calling the balls and strikes for today's game, Cameron Gallant. Covering first base for the umpires, Stephen Clark. And over at third, it will be Ethan Young. Getting ready to go here, let's tell you a little bit about that starting pitcher that we talked about, Keegan Wong. Wong is the starter for BC, as mentioned. She's 15 years old from Chilliwack. And just double checking, I believe this is actually going to be Wong's first pitching appearance. No, it is not. She did pitch one inning in a game previously here in the tournament. Gave up just one hit, struck out two in that one inning. So an ERA of 0.0, no runs given up, and a whip of 1.0 in that one inning of work. Wong just finishing up her warm-up tosses there. And once the right-hander is ready to go, we'll get this game underway. And as mentioned, the first batter that she will face will be Jessie Paquin. Paquin, the second baseman for Team Nova Scotia 2 here in this game. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to start referring to them as Team Nova Scotia. It only really becomes a factor if Nova Scotia were to face Nova Scotia. And that could only happen in either the gold or bronze medal game if the cards play out that way. Paquin coming in with a batting average of 300 so far in this tournament, an on-base percentage of .563, 6 RBI, 4 runs scored. She's walked 6 times, so a good eye for the leadoff hitter as the first pitch comes in at 9:29 a.m., and it's a called first strike. So we get started 1 whole minute ahead of schedule. And in a tournament like this, I got to say the things have been running very much like clockwork, right on time. We've had a couple of games start a little bit behind schedule, but that's just because games ahead of them ended up running a little bit longer than expected. We've had the weather cooperate with us completely, and it is cooperating again today. A beautiful sunny Saturday morning here. Fouled back into the fence, and the count goes to 1-2. For those of you watching in BC, I don't think the sun's even thought about coming up for you guys yet, but thanks for being with us here bright and early on a Saturday morning for you. And if my mom is watching in BC, hi, Mom, go back to bed. 1-2 the count here on Paquin. There's a grounder back up through the middle. It gets to Padgham. Padgham with the throw to first. Kladko with the nice pickup. And that is the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Leah Copeland. Copeland, a .308 batting average on the tournament so far, on-base percentage of .438, 5 RBI rather, for Copeland so far in the tournament. She's also been able to come across the plate and score herself 4 times. And the first pitch to Copeland misses just a little bit down and away. 1-0 the count. As Wong gets back. Wong, the righty, throwing from the full windup here with nobody on base. Very traditional delivery. There's a shot out to right field. Hard hit, and it ends up getting away from the right fielder, McKinley. And that will give Nova Scotia their first base runner of the game. Copeland reaching on the fielding error. That'll bring up Haley Strong. Strong on the tournament, batting .636, 7 hits in 11 at-bats. She's also walked 4 times to give her an on-base percentage of .750. Haley Strong having an absolute dynamite tournament so far. Runner going on the first pitch. That one misses high. And the throw down to second nearly in time as Copeland comes in standing, and that nearly ends up costing her, as the throw was there just a little bit too far to the third base side of the bag. Padgham had to swing around just a little bit too much there to get the tag on in time. Another pitch misses high, and the count goes to 2-0 on Strong. Haley, one of 2 Strong sisters on this Nova Scotia 2 lineup. Aaliyah, the older sister, not in the starting lineup for today's game. There's a swing and a miss. And the count goes to 2-1. Wong delivers. Nice slide step on her delivery there with a runner on base. Pitch misses just low, and the count goes to 3-1. When I had Nicole Luchansky in the broadcast booth with me yesterday, we talked about at this age level, sometimes learning that different delivery style for when you've got runners on base, being able to deliver with a good slide step to reduce the time of your delivery. An important skill to learn as a young pitcher, and one that is still developing in a lot of these players. But for Wong, a really nice slide step delivery there. Ends up walking strong. That'll bring up Abby Ashton. As I mentioned in the opener, it's Ashton's birthday today. Ashton batting 133 so far in this tournament, 2 for 15. With one walk, she's got an on-base percentage of 188. But she's driven in 3 runs and come across the plate to score herself 3 times as well. So even though the batting average not quite where she'd want it to be, the production has been there for Ashton so far here in this tournament. That one misses high. With runners on first and second and one away here in the top of the first inning. 2-1 the count on Ashton. And here's the pitch. That one's fouled off, and the count will go to 2-2. Ashton's been making contact on some swings, just hasn't quite had the ball go her way so far. She's only been struck out 5 times in the 15 at-bats, so several of the outs that have been made have been balls where she's made contact. And, you know, over the course of a full season, 3 games being such a small sample size, some of those balls would end up falling in for hits. It just hasn't quite worked out her way just yet. But there's still more baseball to go here this weekend. That one misses high, and the count goes to 3-2. Now with 2 on and just 1 out with the full count, you wonder if Nova Scotia might start the runners. They don't. And that one's right at, or it would look like it was going to be a single out to left field, but Padgham able to get over and make the catch. The Nova Scotia base runners, Copeland and Strong, able to get back to their bags in time. But you talk about well-hit balls that just haven't worked out for Ashton. That's a prime example of it right there. That ball looked like it was set to head out to left field, but a great play by Padgham to pull it down. That'll bring up Chrissy Hagen. Hagen so far on the tournament, batting .417, a .500 on-base percentage when you throw in the 2 walks that she's earned. 4 RBI, 7 runs scored so far. Fouls that one off. So Hagen putting up some very good production numbers so far for the host province this weekend. 2 on, 2 out here, top of the first inning. Nova Scotia looking to open the scoring in this quarterfinal battle against BC. That one popped up foul territory. Trying to get over to make the catch is the catcher, Duncan Rita, but the ball ends up in the Nova Scotia dugout. So Duncan Rita running out of room, not able to make the catch there. That's a 2-strike count now on Hagen. As Wong takes some time to get reset. And here's the pitch. Hagen thought about going but held up. And the count goes to 1-2 as the pitch just a bit out of the strike zone. The 1-2 delivery from Wong, grounded. Not quite able to make the play there was Padgham. I think it would have been an infield single anyway. Padgham able to knock it down, though, to prevent Copeland from rounding third and heading home. That'll load the bases for Maggie Duck. Duck hitting .600 on the tournament so far. 6 for 10, 5 singles, a double, 4 RBIs, 6 runs scored. She's also reached base by getting hit by a pitch and walking 3 times. So that brings her on-base percentage all the way up to .667. As the left-handed hitting shortstop stands in with the 1-0 count. Swing and foul tip there, and the count goes to 1-1. Duck with a chance to add to her 4 RBIs so far as the bases are loaded here with 2 away. As we talked about in the opening, Nova Scotia, lots of run production. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2. Nova Scotia has scored 49 runs in their 3 victories so far in this tournament. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 3. First strikeout for Wong, and that will do it for the top of the first inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and the bases left loaded. We've played half an inning, and Nova Scotia 2 and British Columbia still tied at 0. Let's run you through the home team in this game and their batting order. Rain Padgham, the shortstop, will bat leadoff. Cheyenne Simicak, the extra hitter, batting second. Keegan Wong, the pitcher, bats third. Third baseman Ashley Lawson bats fourth. Hitting in the 5th spot is the second baseman Cameron Grayson. 6th will be the center fielder Tess Sawkins. 7th is the left fielder Rachel Tam, batting 8th. First baseman Juliet Kladko batting 9th. The right fielder Vanessa McKinley. And batting 10th is the catcher Ella Duncan-Rita. For Nova Scotia, let's take a look at the defense starting in the outfield. Left field being monitored by Vanessa Dort today. Abby Ashton in center. Elle McFadgen in right. As we look around the infield, the left side of the infield, third base, Chrissy Hagan, and shortstop Maggie Duck. Right side of the infield, second baseman Jessie Paquin, and first baseman Haley Strong. Behind the plate, you've got Leah Copeland doing the catching duties for pitcher Claire Derebe. And as we look at the stats for Derebe, she pitched 3 innings in a start back on Thursday. She got a no decision in that game. She gave up 5 runs, all of them earned, on 6 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. So an ERA of 11.67. Of course, that's a very small sample size to work off of, so the ERA not exactly telling the story. A whip of 3.0, also with the small sample size, not really telling the full story for Claire Derebe. As we get ready for British Columbia to come up to bat here in the bottom of the first, we'll update you on what's going on in the other quarterfinal. They're all the way into the top of the 4th in the game on Robert Lenihan Field, just off over my right shoulder. And right now, Team Quebec 2 leads Alberta 1-0. And the winner of that game will advance to face Nova Scotia 1 in one of the semifinals. Here comes Rain Padgham up to the plate. And Padgham having a very good tournament so far. Padgham batting .500, on-base percentage of .667 with 2 doubles, a home run, 3 RBI, 7 runs scored. She's reached base by way of the walk 4 times. So you throw those 4 hits and those 4 walks together, and you see the rest of the batting order behind her able to get her in. Although, as mentioned, one of those times she was able to drive herself all the way home with the home run. There's a strike to Padgham, and the count 1-1. Or 1-2, excuse me. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. That one into right field. It's going to drop in front of McFadgen for a leadoff single. And that'll bring up Cheyenne Simicak. Simicak on the tournament, batting .500, on base percentage of .500, as she's had 4 plate appearances, gone 2 for 4 with 3 RBI. and 2 runs scored. So not as many plate appearances for Simikak as maybe for some others, but she's been effective when she's been out there. Before we get the first pitch of the at-bat, we do get a throw over to first, and Padgham able to get in. Here comes the pitch. That one will miss just a little bit high. Ball 1. And Padgham, expect her to run at some point during this at-bat. She has been on fire on the base paths, but before we get that, we're going to get a quick meeting between the third base coach and the batter, going over the signs. Padgham with that distinctive pink hair coming out the back of her batting helmet. And there goes Padgham, bunt shown, bat pulled back, throw down to second, not quite in time. And you see the speed of Padgham on the base paths, getting the stolen base. Count to Simikak, meanwhile, goes to 2-0. As the pitch missed just a little bit high, coming in from Derib. That one misses outside, and the count goes to 3-0 now. With Padgham in scoring position. And nobody out so far here, bottom of the first inning. Grounder right back to Derib. She'll take the sure out at first. Padgham will head to third on the play. So Simikak gets the productive out as she's able to move the runner over. That'll bring up Keegan Wong. Wong with a .545 batting average, going 6 for 11 so far on the tournament. 3 singles, a double, 2 triples, 3 RBI, and 4 runs scored so far for Wong. The on-base percentage the same as the batting average, as no walks. That one in foul territory, almost getting to it, was the first baseman Haley Strong, but not quite able to get there in time. Great effort by both Strong and the catcher Copeland, but ends up falling in, and so the first pitch to Wong is a strike, as the right-handed pitcher for BC facing the right-handed pitcher for Nova Scotia here in this matchup. As we see Derib get herself set and deliver. That one misses just a little bit high. 1-1 the count. One thing we have yet to see on Joan Lenahan Field here through the tournament is if a ball does get by a catcher with a runner on third, there's a single up the middle, and so that point becomes moot, as an RBI single for Wong drives in the first run of the game. Padgham comes in to score. It's 1-0 BC here with that run in the bottom of the first inning. And for Wong, that is RBI number 4 on the tournament. That'll bring up Ashley Lawson. Lawson batting .400 so far, 4 for 10. On-base percentage of .455 when you add in a walk. That ball gets past the catcher Copeland, and Lawson able to get down to second base. Wong, able to get down to second base. Lawson with 2 RBI and 3 runs scored as well through this tournament so far on this windy morning here in Bedford. It's a beautiful, clear sky, but a strong wind blowing from right to left. There's a single through to the right field, and rounding third, heading for home is Wong. The throw cut off. Now it does go home. The run gets in safely, and on the throw home, Lawson will get to second. So back-to-back RBI singles by Wong and Lawson, and the score now 2-0 for BC. For Lawson, that's her 3rd RBI of the tournament. That'll bring up Cameron Grayson. Grayson so far batting .571, 4 for 7 on the tournament. Throw in a walk as well, and and hit by pitch once, and her on-base percentage goes all the way up to .667 with 2 RBI and 2 runs scored. Grounder, left side of the infield. Third baseman making the throw across for the second out. And after the throw, heads up base running by Lawson to get over to third. So another productive out for BC, moving a runner along. That'll bring up Tess Sawkins. Sawkins hitting .250, 2 for 8 on the tournament so far. Add a walk to give her an on-base percentage of .333. She's also reached on an error a couple times, so she's been on base a total of 5 times, come around to score 4 of those, and has 1 RBI in there as well. Takes the first pitch high and inside, ball 1. And Sawkins also a big contributor defensively for Team BC so far in this tournament, as yesterday she made a great catch out in center field. Another pitch misses and the count goes to 2-0. In the game against against Saskatchewan, she made a real nice catch out in center. And there's another single up the middle. That'll drive in another run, and that makes it 3-0 for BC. And for Sawkins, that's her second RBI of the tournament. That'll bring up Rachel Tam. Tam so far on the weekend hitting .333. On base percentage of .286, as she also has a sacrifice. Runner going on the first pitch, and getting in safely there is Sawkins, as BC showing their aggressiveness here. Tam with 7 RBI so far on the weekend already. 2 runs scored herself. She's been a big producer for this BC offense. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-1. In fact, leads the team in RBI with those 7. And has a chance to drive in another run here with Sawkins in scoring position. That curveball catches the outside corner for strike 3, as Tam is caught looking. First strikeout for Derib. And that will do it for the bottom of the first, but British Columbia puts 3 up on the board. They get 3 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. We've played 1 complete in British Columbia. About as good of a start as you could hope for them. They lead it right now 3-0. Taking a look at Nova Scotia, due up in the top of the second. It'll be the bottom third of the order: Claire Derib, Elle McFadgen, and Vanessa Dort. And if anyone gets on, then we're back around to the top for Jessie Paquin. Quick look at that other quarterfinal going on right now. It's still 1-0 there into the bottom of the fourth there. And a reminder that we can make this broadcast interactive here on 360 Live. Send me a message either through Facebook or through Twitter. You can look me up. It's Petter, P-E-T-T-E-R, Pictou, P-I-C-T-O-U, Sports. And either look that handle up on either Twitter or Facebook and send me a tweet, send me a Facebook message, and I'll do my best to respond. We've had a few people who've done that so far here this weekend. I know those of you watching from BC, you're probably still waking up. Grab yourself a coffee and settle in for what should be a great game here. And once you're a little bit more awake, send me a message. Let me know whereabouts in BC you're watching from. Those of you hanging around here in Nova Scotia, hey, it's a Saturday morning. Come on down. Bedford not that far away from anywhere here in the province, although, well, maybe up in the Sydney area it might be a little bit longer of a drive. But for everyone else, hey, Bedford's not that far away. It's a beautiful day. Come on down and join us here at the beautiful Joan Lenihan Diamond, Robert Lenihan Diamond, just off to our right. Just remember, if you do come down, you might want to park up towards the Legion parking lot rather than parking down here by the field. We had one incident yesterday where a vehicle had its back window severely damaged by a foul ball. So if you do park down here, you're doing so at your own risk. The right-handed pitching Derib steps into the left-handed batter's box for the start of the second inning and takes the first pitch outside on the outside corner for a strike. Derib so far on the tournament as a hitter stands in with a batting average of .273 and on-base percentage of .333. She's driven in 1 run, scored 5 herself, but is behind in the count here, 0-1. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Foul tip, and the count goes to 0-2. Beautiful day for baseball here. Like I say, the breeze blowing from right to left and a ball hit out to left could carry in this wind. We have seen a few home runs out of this field so far this weekend. One going over the right field fence yesterday. That coming from the bat of the Alberta player Zelaya Downs. We saw a couple home runs as well last night from Quebec. In fact, 2 home runs from the same player from Quebec, Naomi Bolduc-So. She had a grand slam and a 3-run home run, 1 to left, 1 to straightaway center in last night's game for Quebec number 1 over Alberta. There's a swing and a miss, and Derib goes down on strikes. That'll bring up Elle McFadgen. McFadgen, so far on the tournament, batting .400, 2 for 5. Throw in a couple of walks, and she's got an on-base percentage of .571. 5 RBI and 4 runs scored so far here on the weekend for McFadgen. Takes the first pitch for a ball and gets ahead in the count here early, 1-0. One of the things we've seen throughout this tournament from pretty much all of the pitchers is if they're able to get ahead in a count early, they are so much more primed for success, and that's certainly going to be the case here today as well. That one fouled off down the third base side, and the count goes to 1-1. McFadgen stands in with the 1-1 count now. And here comes the pitch from Wong. That one in for a strike, and the count goes to 1-2. The 1-2 swung on and missed, and that's the 3rd strikeout for Wong. 3 consecutive players that she's struck out. If you go back to the final out of the first inning, that'll bring up Vanessa Dort. Dort so far on the tournament batting .273 with a .385 on base percentage. Driven in 2, scored 6 times so far. As we mentioned, this Nova Scotia team, 49 runs scored in their 3 wins. British Columbia, though, you look at what they've done in their 3 wins. They've scored 35 runs. So these 2 very high potent offenses, chances are we'll see more of the same throughout the rest of this quarterfinal matchup. That one fouled off, and the count to Dort goes to 1-1. Dort, probably a distant cousin of my wife. Dort from the Guysborough area. My wife's, let me see if I get this right, great-grandmother was a Dort from the Guysborough area who moved to Pictou County as a young girl, so I'm sure there's a connection there somewhere. That one fouled back, and the count goes to 1-2. So even though a broadcaster is supposed to stay impartial, that's family up there. Distantly enough, I'm sure there's a connection, but still, that's family up there. 1-2 the count on Dort. There's a good hard hit ball. It gets through to the outfield for a 2-out single, and that'll flip the order over. Coming back up is Jessie Paquin for her 2nd at bat of the game. She grounded out to short to lead off the game. Paquin, 15 years old, from just down the road in Upper Tantallon. That one misses a little bit high, and 1-0 the count. For those of you not familiar with Nova Scotia geography, Upper Tantallon, part of the Halifax Regional Municipality, as is Bedford, where we're playing here. Upper Tantallon, about Oh, time is called as a ball from the other diamond ended up coming into ours here off of a foul ball. So get that cleared away. Now we're ready to resume again. Upper Tantallon about 20, 25 minutes east of here along Highway 103. Runner going. Throw down to second. Gets the runner as Dort caught stealing for the third out. So that means Paquin will be back up at the plate to lead off the top of the third. No runs, one hit, no errors, and nobody left on base after Dort was caught stealing. We've played 1.5. British Columbia continues to lead it 3-0. Due up in the bottom of inning number 2. It will be the bottom third in a sense because there are 10 batters. So the bottom 30% of the order, Juliet Kladko, Vanessa McKinley, and Ella Duncan-Rita. And then if anybody gets on, back around to the top of the order for Padgham. And yes, British Columbia does incorporate the extra hitter into their lineup, while Nova Scotia does not. The extra hitter, an optional feature in the game for teams to get an extra player in there to allow for more at-bats and more players to be directly involved in the game. Although Nova Scotia, when you look at their overall lineup, they have 14 players, and all 14 of them have been getting plenty of playing time, so that really has not been an issue, even without putting the extra player into use. Another quick check on what's going on next door. Alberta has put up 3 in the bottom of the fourth. They've taken the lead. They now lead at 3-1, and they're still batting in the bottom of the fourth. 2 away right now. Helena Appleyard up to bat. And again, we will continue to keep you updated on that other quarterfinal throughout the morning. The winner of that quarterfinal will face Nova Scotia number 1, or the Nova Scotia White team as it's sometimes referred to. This Nova Scotia team, Nova Scotia 2, or Nova Scotia Blue, by virtue of the blue jerseys that they wear with the white lettering. British Columbia also in blue jerseys, but a darker blue with white writing across the front. Here comes Juliet Kladko stepping in to lead off the bottom of inning number 2. Kladko on the tournament batting .222 with an on-base percentage of the same .222. 2 for 9 altogether, but one of those 2 hits, a home run. That one ends up rolling foul, and Kladko behind in the count 0-1. 3 RBI, 3 runs scored for Kladko so far on the tournament, but again, one of those hits that she has, a home run. That was over on Weir Field back on Thursday when British Columbia played one of their games over there. There's a strike, and Kladko behind in the count now 0-2. The left-hander, pitcher, and first baseman for BC. She's been on the mound for a bit. That one just gets over the head of the shortstop Duck for a leadoff single out to left field, and that'll bring up Vanessa McKinley. McKinley on the tournament batting .400, 2 for 5. On base percentage of .500 when you throw in that she's been hit by a pitch once. 1 RBI, 2 runs scored so far for McKinley. Throw over to first, and Kladko gets back in safely. Pretty good move to first there from Derib. That's another one of those skills that right-handed pitchers showing bunt, but then pulling the bat back, and Kladko able to get in safely with the steal. This British Columbia team, they are not afraid to run, and that aggressiveness on the base paths has paid off for them, and we're seeing it continue to pay off here in this one. That one fouled off. over towards the umpire's trailer. The count to McKinley now 1-2. Or 1-1, excuse me. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, and now it's 1-2. McKinley takes a long look down at the third base coach to get the signs. Now she'll step out. And steps back in. We're ready to resume here. 1-2 the count. Runner going, and that ball sent out to right center. Getting over to make the catch, the right fielder, McFadgen. And McFadgen throw a little bit over second base. I think she had thought that Kladko had already tagged up and was heading towards third, but Kladko was having to make her way back to second. That'll bring up Ella Duncan-Rita. Duncan-Rita still looking for her first hit of the tournament. She's 0 for 3, but she's gotten on base twice out of 5 plate appearances, having walked twice. Came around to score both of those times. Rita 0 for 1, or 0-1 the count now on her. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. That's down in the dirt, and it goes to 1-1. And when you talk about the offensive prowess of Team BC, she's the only player without a hit as of yet in this lineup. But again, 0 for 3, such a small sample size, you can't take anything away from that. She's one of all but one BC players who's been able to score a run because she's gotten on base. And now she does get her first hit of the tournament. And not only is it her first hit, it's her first RBI, as Ella Duncan-Rita with the RBI single makes it 4-0, driving in Kladko all the way from second. And we're back around to the top of the order for Rain Padgham. Padgham singled and scored her first time up. Padgham, the 14-year-old from Abbotsford, with I think what has unanimously been unofficially voted the coolest hair in the tournament. That bright pink hair coming out of the back of the helmet. Throw over to first, and Duncan-Rita gets back easily. That one more of a message move, just reminding Duncan-Rita, yeah, I know you're there. I'm aware of you. First pitch to Padgham, misses a little bit high and outside, ball 1. 1 on, 1 out, 1 already in here in the bottom of the second. BC leading at 4-0. That one misses high, and the count now 2-0. As part of the bio sheets that we get on all these players, Padgham mentioned that she's had her hair that pink color since she was 6 years old. She's 14 now, so certainly something she's gotten quite accustomed to, and those around her have gotten quite accustomed to. That one misses outside, and Padgham ahead in the count here, 3-0. Here comes the 3-0 pitch. That one catches the inside corner, and the count goes to 3-1. A beautiful, bright, sunny morning here on a Saturday in Bedford. That one misses outside, ball 4. That'll put runners on first and second and bring up Simikak. She's 0 for 1, grounded back to the pitcher her first time up. Simikak, 15 years old, from Surrey. Part of the beautiful lower mainland of BC. That one misses, or does catch the top of the zone. Strike 1. One part of the country I have not been to is the lower mainland in BC. I've been in the interior, Okanagan area. Been way up north. Lived in Fort St. John, actually, for a couple of years. That pitch gets down to the fence, and the count 1-1. My mom still lives in the Northern Rockies in a tiny little community called Dees Lake way up north. That one sent out hard to center field. It gets past the center fielder, Ashton, and that will allow Simikak to get in with a 2-run double. 2 more RBIs for her. Her 4th and 5th RBI of the tournament. A 2-run double, and it's now 6-0 for BC. That'll bring up Keegan Wong. Wong with an RBI single and a run scored last inning, as the 15-year-old from Chilliwack steps in. Those of us of a certain generation, we hear the place name Chilliwack, we still think of the band that goes right along with that. Those of you who are watching who are too young to get that reference, I hang my head in shame. That one fouled back, and the count goes to 1-1. Or you could say that ball is now gone into foul territory. Yeah, I got a million of them, and 1 or 2 are even funny. There we go. That one's up high, right side of the infield. Strong, the first baseman, able to make the catch for the second out. That'll bring up Lawson. She has an RBI single and a run scored her first time up. Lawson from Surrey, 16 years old. One of the big things about Ashley Lawson, she's pitched, she's caught, she's played second base, she's played third base as she is today. She's played in the outfield. Maybe the most versatile defensive player for British Columbia. I think, and I could be mistaken on this because I haven't seen all of BC's games, I think the only place she hasn't played is first base. I know she's played at least second, third, behind the plate, pitched, and at least 2 of the 3 outfield positions. I'm not 100% sure about shortstop or first base, but the versatility of a player like Lawson is so important to have. And the offensive contribution of Lawson as she gets her second RBI single of the day, making it 7-0 for BC. Her second RBI of the day and her 4th RBI of the tournament. And that will bring up Cameron Grayson. Grayson, 15 years old from BC, or from Surrey, BC, from BC, obviously, from Surrey, more specifically. Comes up here with 1 on and 2 out. Throw over to first. And Lawson able to get back in safely. As I see, we've got a viewer here all the way from Mexico joining us for the broadcast. Thank you very much from Scott Hagan. Scott down there with the Canadian national women's baseball team at the World Cup qualifiers, watching Chrissy and the rest of Team Blue take on British Columbia. Scott says, "Go Nova Scotia." Thanks, Scott, for joining us so early in the morning, and good luck to Team Canada down there at the World Cup qualifiers. We're all cheering for you guys as much as you're cheering for your teams up here. Time called as Grayson steps out for a moment. Now we're set to get rolling again here. 1 on, 2 away, runner going, and that one popped up into foul territory and ends up hitting the Team Quebec bus. Fortunately, it did so on at least 1 hop, possibly 2, so no damage to the bus. Team Quebec 2 playing over on the other diamond right now in the other quarterfinal. Team Nova Scotia 1 or Nova Scotia White already in the semis. Team Quebec 1 also already in the semis. There's a grounder back to the pitcher, but Derib just not able to get a handle on it. And so that will allow Grayson to get on. Unfortunately, you've got to call that one an error, but it really wasn't an error so much as it was just that ball refusing to get picked up. That'll bring up Tess Sawkins. She has an RBI single so far today. Sawkins from Victoria, 15 years old, takes a first pitch strike. Talking about places I've never been, I've also never actually been over to Vancouver Island. It's on the bucket list of places to go someday. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 0-2. So if anybody out there watching is organizing a tournament over on Vancouver Island and you're looking for a play-by-play guy, let me know. I'll come over gladly. That one misses high, and the count goes to 1-2. Still 3-1 over in the other game for Team Alberta over Quebec 2. Bottom of the fifth inning now in that one as it's moving along at a really good pace. There's a shot out to left center. That could be trouble. It'll bounce over the fence. So a ground rule double for Sawkins. That will drive in Lawson. Grayson will have to stop at third. So an RBI, her second RBI of the day for Sawkins. And her third RBI of the tournament. And the score now 8-0, and that'll bring up Rachel Tam. But before we get Tam, we're going to get a meeting out at the mound here. And the whole Nova Scotia infield in for this meeting. And I think we're going to see, no, it's still going to be Derib out there pitching. Thought for a moment that we were going to see a pitching change. But Derib remains on the mound. That brings up Rachel Tam. She's 0 for 1, striking out in the first inning. The 16-year-old from Vancouver steps in with runners on second and third. 2 away. 5 runs already in here in this inning. 8-0 the scoreline overall in favor of Team BC. Here's the pitch. That misses just a little bit high. Ball 1. Don't count Nova Scotia out yet, though. Like I said, they've scored 49 runs over their 3 games. There's a strike. The count goes to 1-1. So the offensive capability is there to come back from this 8-run deficit. There's a pitch that misses high, 2-1. In fact, they put up 14 runs in just 1 inning in a game earlier in this tournament against Prince Edward Island. There's a line shot out to left field. 1 run will score. Sawkins coming around. She'll also score. The throw home. Heading down to second now is Tam. She'll get in safely. So a 2-run single. Tam gets to second on the throw. For Tam, that's her 8th and 9th RBI of the tournament. Both of these runs unearned. And that brings up Juliet Kladko for the second time this inning. She started this whole rally with a single to lead off the second inning and is up for the second time. 1 for 1 with a run scored. That pitch misses low to Kladko, the 16-year-old, also from Surrey. Several players from Surrey in this lineup. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes 1-1. Tam stands at second, 2 away. 1-1 the count to Kladko. 7 runs in this inning. 10 overall for BC. There's a grounder to second, but it ends up getting through the second baseman, Paquin. Coming in to score will be Tam, and that's the second error for Nova Scotia in this inning, and it makes it 11-0, and that'll bring up Vanessa McKinley. The 15-year-old from Burnaby flew out to right field her first time up. So the one thing, sometimes when you see these big innings, it's because the defense is booting the ball around a little bit, but that is not the case here. We've only seen 2 errors in this inning by Nova Scotia. It's not that they've played bad defense. It's that British Columbia has just been able to hit the ball hard and to places that the Nova Scotia defense is not. That pitch misses, and the count goes to 1-1. The 1-1 pitch misses inside, and it's 2-1. Again, the winner of this team will face Quebec Team 1 in a semifinal. The winner of the other quarterfinal going on right now will face Nova Scotia 1, or Nova Scotia White. There's a strike. And the count goes to 2-2. As we get an update on that World Cup qualifier in Mexico, there's a grounder down to third. We'll give you that update in a minute. Over to first in time, and that will do it for the second inning. But BC able to break this game open. They put up 8 runs in the second inning on 6 hits. There were 2 errors and 1 runner left on base. We head to the top of the third with BC leading at 11-0. But like I say, Nova Scotia put up 14 runs in a single inning earlier in this tournament. They have the offensive capability to get back into this game. They're going to need a few bounces to go their way, certainly, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. And leading off the top of the third, it'll be Paquin, followed by Copeland and Strong. And thanks to Scott Hagan for the update on Team Canada. They had a great game last night, a 9-7 victory over Puerto Rico. Katie Hagan came in to pitch the bottom of the 7th, coming in with the bases loaded and nobody out. They'll be playing Mexico for the last round robin game today, but they're in a rain delay right now. So again, we send our good luck, our best wishes to Team Canada. Scott makes sure that everyone on Team Canada knows that all of us here in Bedford, regardless of which team you're talking about here in Bedford, they're all united in supporting our Canadian women down in Mexico, and we wish them the best of luck. And we congratulate them on the tournament that they've had so far, that great win last night against Puerto Rico. So Jessie Paquin, who was at the plate when Vanessa Dort was caught stealing, will come back out to start the top of the third here. And we hear a fair bit of noise coming from next door. We'll update you on exactly what happened over there in just a moment. It looks like Alberta's got a bit of a rally going. Just have to wait a second for the Game Changer app to catch up to the action, and we'll let you know what all that noise was about. Alberta put up 3 more runs so far in the bottom of the 5th inning as they bat. It's now 6-1. And again, the winner of that game will play Nova Scotia 1, Nova Scotia White. As we are in a bit of a pause here as Nova Scotia making some changes. As we see a pinch hitter. No, that's not a pinch hitter. I'm not sure what the change is going to be for Nova Scotia here, but they went to the scorers and made some changes. I'm sure we'll see that come about as this third inning goes on. Try to keep you up to date on that, but right now we're ready to start the top of the third, and Paquin stands in. That pitch in for a strike, and the count goes to 0-1. It was a 3-run home run there for Alberta. I didn't see which player it was who got it, but a 3-run home run for Alberta makes it 6-1. That one fouled back, and the count goes 0-2. They're playing in the bottom of the 5th inning over on Robert Lenahan Field. Again, about 50 feet off behind my right shoulder. That one popped up high in the air, foul territory. Over to make the catch is Ella Duncan-Rita. And I've talked to so many catchers about that type of a play when it's fouled off behind the plate and trying to maintain tracking on the ball while it's got that backspin going. Such a difficult play, but Duncan-Rita doing a great job. That brings up Leah Copeland, the 14-year-old from Fall River. Takes a strike. Fall River also part of the beautiful Halifax Regional Municipality. That one misses outside, and the count goes to 1-1. One ball, one strike, one away here, top of the 3rd inning. Wong continuing to deliver. That one misses outside. 2-1. And you got to figure with this being the second last day of the tournament, Wong's going to be used for her full 95 pitches. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 2-2, as she's already beyond the point where she'd be eligible to pitch tomorrow, so they're going to get as much as they can out of her today, because if British Columbia does presumably hold on and win this game, they would be playing that semifinal later tonight. And there's a called 3rd strike. 4th strikeout of the morning for Wong. That'll bring up Haley Strong. Strong, one of the sisters, as I mentioned earlier. Her older sister, Aaliyah, also in the lineup. Strong's 15 years old from Fall River. That one fouled back. And the count 0-1 on the Nova Scotia first baseman. That one misses high, and the count goes to 1-1. Wong gets herself set, and here comes the 1-1 pitch. Hard hit ball, but right at Padgham. Over to first for the 3rd out. A 1-2-3 inning in the top of the 3rd. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We've played 2.5, and British Columbia continues to lead it 11-0, due up in the 3rd for BC. It's Ella Duncan-Rita. Then back to the top of the order for Padgham and Simicak. And now we'll see the defensive changes for Nova Scotia that were brought over to the scorer's table. As we look around, McFadgen still in right. Now playing center field is Dort. She moves from left to center. Going in to play left field is Eve Taylor. So I presume that Abby Ashton Abby Ashton moves from center field onto the pitcher's mound. So the birthday girl turning 16 today will be on the mound. And let's see if we can grab the rest of these defensive changes for you here. Taylor is now in left field. Coming out of the game is Darib. So Eve Taylor goes into the 7 spot in the batting order and plays left field. Abby Ashton moves from center field to the pitcher's mound. Strong, Paquin, Duck, and Hagen are still the 4 infielders. Copeland remains behind the plate. Dort, as mentioned, moved from left to center, and Taylor comes in to play left field. And your new pitcher for Team Nova Scotia is Abby Ashton. And for Ashton, this is her third appearance. She's thrown 3 1/3 innings in those 2 previous games, given up 1 hit, 2 runs, both of them earned, 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. So an ERA of 4.2 and a whip of 1.2 for Ashton. As mentioned, the birthday girl turning 16 today from Hammonds Plains, another of those communities here within the Halifax Regional Municipality. And as the right-hander finishes up her warm-up pitches, Ella Duncan-Rita of Team BC watching and getting ready for her second at-bat of the day. Duncan-Rita, RBI single her first time up, came around to score. And Duncan-Rita, 15 years old, from the community of Duncan. Somehow I've got to guess that her family has been in that community for a long, long time. Just a hunch. Or it could be a coincidence that you never know. Here comes the first pitch to Duncan-Rita, and it misses just high, ball 1. Ashton, again, this is her third pitching appearance of the tournament. Very upright delivery, comes straight over the top with it. Count goes to 2-0. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. That one misses outside, 3-0. Ashton shakes off a sign, then nods and delivers high, ball 4. So a 4-pitch walk to Duncan-Rita. That brings us back around to the top of the order for Padgham. Padgham so far singled and walked in her 2 previous plate appearances. Came around to score both times. Comes up here with 1 on, nobody out in the 3rd. British Columbia leading it 11-0. And throw over to first. Ball gets away from Strong, but not far enough for Duncan-Rita to take advantage. As we get our first look at the move to first from Ashton. The throw just a little bit to the outfield side of the bag there. That one delivered to the plate and misses just a little bit high on Padgham. And the count goes to 1-0. Time called as Copeland wants to go out and have a quick chat with her pitcher. Meanwhile, over on the other diamond, they're in between innings there in the game between Alberta and Quebec. Heading into the top of the 6th, it is still 6-1 for Alberta over Quebec 2. Actually, no, sorry, they're in the middle of a pitching change over there, not a break between innings. That one misses high, 2-0. I saw the runner from Alberta, who was at second base, head towards the dugout, but she wasn't heading to the dugout. She was heading over to have a chat with her first base coach while Quebec makes a pitching change. That's what happens when you turn your head real quick. And runner going on the 2-0 pitch. It misses inside, and Duncan-Rita takes second with the steal. The count on Padgham now goes to 3-0. There's a strike. As Ashton finds the zone, it's 3-1. Three-one count. There's a grounder, just foul down the third base side. Shout out to Wes Surrett watching Team Prince Edward Island. Her niece Victoria his niece Victoria from PEI. Wes from Pictou County. Good Pictou County boy, just like me. We also have Minerva Padgham watching, Rain's mom, watching from Abbotsford. Rain played on 4 different teams this year. My goodness. There's another one pulled foul, and the count now full on Padgham. She played 15U AAA. She played for the Trailblazers. She played for Team Canada Prospects and these under-16 girls. She was also invited to play at the 14U and the 21U Nationals. Busy girl is Rain Padgham. I can see why you stayed in Abbotsford and chose to not to travel with this team this time around. I can imagine how many miles you've put on already this summer. My goodness. That one misses high. Ball 4. And so Padgham gets her second walk of the game. That'll bring up Simicak. She grounded out in the first, a 2-run double in the second, and comes up here with 2 on and nobody out in the third. And again, big thanks to everybody who is watching wherever you're joining us here on 360 Live. And thanks for these contributions to the broadcast. I really do appreciate it. There's a pitch that misses just high, 1-0 the count. And they did reach the end of that bottom of the 5th inning. Over on the other diamond, it is still 6-1 as Quebec was able to stop out the rally. There's a foul ball off out of play on the first base side here. Count goes to 1-1 on Simicak. Swung on and missed the 1-1, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Simicak, who says she wants to get to med school when she finishes high school and her program. That one misses outside, 2-2. And that's one thing I've noticed. A lot of these players, very lofty and worthwhile goals. Not lofty in the sense that they're unattainable, but lofty in the sense that they are very worthwhile and very impressive goals. That one's going to get through the defense all the way to the fence out in left center. And another 2-run double by Simicak, her second 2-run double of the game. She now has 4 RBI in this game, 7 RBI for the tournament. And that makes it 13-0. And it'll bring up Keegan Wong. She has an RBI single and a pop-out in her 2 previous at-bats. She also came around to score when she reached on that single. That pitch misses high, ball 1. And the run represented by Wong now becomes significant. If BC takes a 15-0 lead into the 4th, they'll have a chance to end the game in 3.5. That pitch misses, or catches the outside corner. The count goes to 1-1. If the lead is 15 or greater after 3.5 innings with the home team leading, then the game would be considered a final at that point. There's a line shot. That does get through the middle as well. Coming around to score is Simicak, and as the throw goes home, Wong advances to second, so another RBI single. Her second RBI of the day, 5th of the tournament. Simicak comes in to score. It's now 14-0, and that brings up Lawson, who's 2 for 2, 2 singles, 1 RBI, 2 runs scored. And it's now 14-0, and that potential 15th run again stands at second base. That one in the dirt gets past Copeland, and Wong will head to third. I started to mention earlier that one thing that we haven't seen yet in this tournament is a player from third even attempt to score on a pass ball or wild pitch, because the backstop here at Joan Lenahan Field is so close, relatively speaking, to the plate compared to a lot of other fields. Count to Lawson goes to 1-1 after she fouled that one back. So something to watch for now during this at-bat with the runner on third is you are very unlikely to see Wong try to score if a pitch does get by Copeland. That not an issue, though, as the single out to left field will score that 15th run. Lawson with her second RBI of the game, her fourth of the tournament. And that'll bring up Cameron Grayson. Grayson 0 for 2, grounded out in the first, reached on an error in the second, and came around to score. And comes up here with one on and still no one out. Throw over to first. Not in time. As BC has put 4 more runs on the board here in the third inning, and will have a chance to end the game in the top of the fourth and book their way into tonight's semifinal, or this afternoon's semifinal, excuse me. It'd be a 3 o'clock or 3:30 start for Team BC, 11:30 for those of you in the Pacific time zone. Another throw over to first. For Nova Scotia, again, presuming that this result holds, they will play in the 5th place game tomorrow against the loser of the other quarterfinal game, which right now looks like it, if the score holds, would be Quebec 2. So those two teams would be playing for 5th and 6th place overall in the tournament. Grayson ahead in the count here, 1-0. But there's still a lot of baseball left to be played, so neither of those are absolutely definite. It's just if these scores hold, that's how it would play out. Grayson now ahead in the count, 2-0. There's another pitch that just misses, and the count 3-0 on Grayson. As Ashton continues to work here, her first inning of work after coming in relief of the starter, Claire DeRiebe. And there's a 4-pitch walk. That'll put runners at first and second. And bring up Tess Sawkins. She's 2 for 2 with a single, a double, 2 RBI, and 1 run scored. And we're going to get a chat at the mound here before that takes place. And while that chat is happening, BC going over to the umpires to let them know about some changes in their lineup that will be forthcoming in the top of the fourth, or may even come into play here in the bottom of the third, depending on how it works out. It looks like Maxie Lloyd has a bat, so she'll be batting, I believe, for Rachel Tam. We'll wait and see for sure if that is the case. Lawson at second, Grayson at first. Nobody out here still in the top of the third or bottom of the third inning, and the score 15-0 in favor of British Columbia over Nova Scotia 2. And to be fair to Nova Scotia 2, this is a very young team. Lots of 12, 13, 14-year-olds. Only a couple of players are 15 or 16. This is very much about a developmental squad for Nova Scotia. The reason it's referred to as Nova Scotia 2 is, again, because it is much younger. a more developmental team. These are the players who will be representing the province at 16U as the number 1 team, or Nova Scotia White, in the coming years. So this is a great learning experience for them as Sawkins takes a first pitch strike, getting a chance to play against older girls, against girls with a little bit more experience. And the fact that Nova Scotia is at absolute worst going to finish 6th in this tournament, that's a real testament to how strong girls baseball program is in this province right now, and a real testament to the effort that these girls are putting in. That one misses outside, and the count goes to 2-1. So looking at this result as a microcosm of the bigger picture, there's a grounder pulled foul down the first base side, and the count goes to 2-2. Quebec, too, has put up a couple of runs in the top of the 6th, so it's now 6-3 as they try to come back on Alberta. Alberta getting a chance in the bottom of the 6th to try and add some more insurance as the top of the 6th has ended. But Alberta right now with the 3-run lead on a chance to get back to the semifinals. There's a shot out to left center. That's going to get all the way through to the fence. A hard hit ball by Sawkins. And another 2-run double for Sawkins, her third and fourth RBI of the day. Her 4th and 5th RBI of the tournament. She's now 3 for 3 with 2 doubles and a single. And that'll bring up Maxie Lloyd as she does come in as a pinch hitter for Rachel Tam. Lloyd getting her first plate appearance of this game. She's 1 for 2 with a single, so an batting average of 500 and on base percentage also 500. This is just her 3rd plate appearance of the tournament. And so Lloyd comes up with a runner on second and nobody out. Here in the 3rd, a chance to add a little bit more insurance. Grounder over to first. Strong will pick it up and take it herself. So a productive out for Maxie Lloyd as she does move the runner over to 3rd. That'll bring up Cladco. Actually, no, that'll bring up another pinch hitter. Yes, it will, as Amelia Russo will bat for Juliet Cladco. Russo batting 143 on the tournament so far, 1 for 7. With a .333 on base percentage when you throw in a couple of walks. No RBI, 1 run scored. No RBI and 1 run scored. And before we get that, we are going to have a pitching change as Ashton, it appears, is heading back out to the outfield. And Taylor, who was playing left field, comes back out of the game. Strong is going to move from first base to become pitcher, it appears. So Strong moves from first base to pitcher. Ashton, who had been pitching, goes back out to the outfield. And I believe she'll go back to her spot in center, which means Dort will go back to left. And the question becomes, who comes in to play first base? Nope. Taylor is going to stay in the game, and she's going to stay in the outfield. And it looks like Ashton actually is going to play first. So that is what's going to happen. Okay. So Taylor stays in left, Dort stays in center. None of those changes happen. What happens is, basically it's just a straight swap between Abby Ashton coming from the pitcher's mound to first base and Haley Strong going from first base to pitcher. So it looked like it was going to be a little bit more complex than that, but that is all it breaks down to. And Ashton finishes up her pitching duties. That, as mentioned, brings up Haley Strong. This will be her first pitching appearance in the tournament. For Ashton, she threw 1/3 of an inning. We'll get into more detail. The first pitch to Russo is a called strike. 1/3 of an inning for Ashton. There's a grounder to short, over to first, and Ashton with a great effort to try and get that ball. Great stretch, but the throw from the shortstop duck just a little bit off target. Russo gets the RBI, as the run would have scored anyway. Sawkins comes home from third on the play, but she reaches base on the error. And that brings up, I believe, another pinch hitter, as that doesn't appear to be McKinley there at the plate. I thought he announced Chernin, but we'll have to wait and see just to make sure. Throw over to first, and Russo able to get back there. I believe that's Chernin at the plate. She takes that one for a strike. That one misses high, and the count now 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 on, 1 out here in inning number 3. That one popped way up high. It will drop foul. And as she turns and heads back to the plate, we can see the back of the jersey, which confirms for us that it is Jacqueline Chernin in as the pinch hitter for McKinley. And we can tell you Chernin on the tournament, batting .400, 2 for 5, with 3 RBI and 2 runs scored. Ends up striking out, looking for the second out of the inning. And now I think we're going to get one more final pinch hitter here. The last player from the BC bench, as Caitlin Foubert, the final pitcher final player from the BC bench, comes in as a pinch hitter. Foubert on the tournament, hitting .375, 3 for 8. With 2 RBI and a run scored. Fouls that one off. And the count goes to 0-1 on Foubert. Russo at first, 2 away now. 7 runs in this inning, 18 overall. That pitch gets away from Copeland, and Russo heads down to second, and the count goes to 1-1. That one high in the air to left field, left center. Coming in and making the catch is Taylor. Nearly a disaster, as Taylor and Dort almost ran into each other, but Taylor makes the catch for the third out. And that will do it for the bottom of the third. BC does add 7 more runs on 4 hits. There was 1 error and 1 runner left on base. We've played 3 complete. BC leads it 18-0. Nova Scotia needs to score at least 4 in the top of the fourth to extend this game, and it'll be up to Ashton, Hagen, and Duck to start the rally, and if anyone gets on, then it will be Taylor due up fourth. And now we'll look and see BC's defense as all of the pinch hitters, whether they stay in the game or what the case becomes there. Meanwhile, we'll take a look at what's going on in the other game. Alberta's added another run in the bottom of the sixth. They lead it 7-3. So it appears that the semifinals, if these scores hold, will be British Columbia against Nova Scotia White, or British Columbia against Quebec 1, and Alberta against Nova Scotia White. And we look at the BC defense. Wong is still pitching. Playing first base is Russo as she batted for Cladco. Chernin, who pinch hit for the right fielder McKinley, stays in right field. Lloyd, actually it's Simicek, who was the extra hitter, comes in to play left field. So Simicek's in left, Sawkins remains in center, Chernin is now in right, Lawson still at third, Padgham still at short. Lloyd, who came in to pinch hit for Tam, goes to second base. Russo, who pinch hit for Cladco, is at first. And Duncan Rita, who was pinch hit for, re-enters the game as the catcher. So let's set that again. Simicek, Sawkins, and Chernin in the outfield. Padgham, Lawson, Grayson, or Padgham, Lawson, Lloyd, and Russo around the infield, and Duncan Rita behind the plate for Wong as we get ready for the top of the fourth. Abby Ashton will lead it off. She's 0 for 1. Lined out, hard hit ball to short, but Padgham able to make the catch. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 0-1. As the wind picking up here a little bit, that one's fouled off. The count goes to 0-2. Again, blowing from left to right, a little bit out towards left field. And the cloud cover rolling in a little bit here as well, cooling things off. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3. One away. That'll bring up a pinch hitter. Or no, it will not. Hagen is batting for herself there. So again, if British Columbia wins, they'll play in the 3:30 semifinal on this field against Quebec 1. Nova Scotia will play in the 5th, 6th place game tomorrow. And that game would be on Robert Lenihan Field at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That one misses just low, and the count goes to 1-1. That one fouled back, and the count 1-2. British Columbia, 2 outs away right now from moving on to the semifinals. A reminder, our next game here on this diamond will be the 12:30 game, a placement bracket game. There's a called third strike as Hagen goes down. That's the 6th strikeout for Wong. And that'll bring up Maggie Duck. She is one of those 6 strikeout victims. The 12:30 game on this field will be a placement bracket game between Newfoundland, Labrador, and Prince Edward Island. those placement bracket games to determine the final placings 7 through 12 as we play today and tomorrow. That one misses outside to duck, ball 1. Newfoundland, Labrador, and Prince Edward Island already played once in this tournament in Pool C play. Newfoundland, Labrador in that game ended up scoring 10 runs in the first inning and went on to a 20-0 victory in 4 innings, much like this game appears to be ending in just 4 innings. But again, that's being a little presumptuous, as Nova Scotia does still have 1 out to work with. There's a grounder down to third, takes a hop, but able to stay with it is Russo for the 3rd out. And that will do it for the game. The final score, 20-0 for BC, 18-0 for BC. They advance to a semifinal against Quebec 1 later this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Nova Scotia heads to the 5th and 6th place game at 9 a.m. Sunday, tomorrow, on Robert Lenahan Field. As we get the teams ready for the handshakes, and then we'll get the presentation of the players of the game. Once that happens, we'll sign off, and we'll come back in about an hour and a half to get you ready for the 12:30 game. Again, that'll be Newfoundland Labrador taking on Prince Edward Island. When you're talking about players of the game for Nova Scotia, a couple players stand out in my mind. Ashton had a decent performance on the mound. Strong came in and finished things off on the mound. Chrissy Hagan with the only hit offensively for Nova Scotia. A couple of nice defensive plays over at first base for Strong, as well as the pitching performance. For BC, Wong, a great game at the on the mound. Simicak, 4 RBIs. Sawkins with 4 RBIs. A few different players you could look at as potential players of the game for BC, so we'll just wait and see who it is who get those. And then we'll sign off and get you ready in about an hour and a half for Newfoundland Labrador versus PEI. BC, again, they'll play Quebec on this field at 3:30, 11:30 Pacific in the morning. As we get the announcement of the players of the game. And Claire DeRiebe is the player of the game for Nova Scotia. She threw 2 innings as the pitcher. And Simicak, with her 4 RBI, is the player of the game for Team BC. So that's going to do it for us here in this one. British Columbia moves to the semifinals with a convincing 18-0 victory over Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia will play in the